Okay, let us start. Let's have a little review first about our lesson last meeting. We started our discussion about paired t-test. Okay, we are still class discussing the different statistical tests for testing differences between means. Okay, that is why if we are going to look at the statement of the problem or the statements of the problem from our previous examples, most likely the question goes like this: is there a significant difference between two variables? Since we are dealing with t-test, do not forget, we are just comparing here two groups class. Two groups lang talaga ha for t-test. So we are again done with the independent sample t-test wherein we are comparing two independent groups. So they are entirely from a different set of respondents or participants. Just like when you have participants na male and female. So definitely they are not the same persons. They are different. They are from different like set of populations. But then again, we are comparing their scores. Most of the time, we use t-test if we only have small set of samples, like below 30. Kasi pag more than 30, we can use the z-test, especially if we have a lot of, like, we know the standard deviation of the whole population. But then, do not forget also, since t-test is a part of the parametric tests, we have assumptions to be met first. Just like the data set should be normally distributed. There should no be outliers or extreme values, meaning we have to establish first the precision of our data. Dapat hindi masyadong mataas yung standard deviation natin. Kasi when we have high value for our standard deviation, it means that the data set or each data is like far beyond the mean, or they are not close with each other. So, meaning meron tayong outlier doon. Okay, that is for like assumptions to be met first for our parametric test like t-test. Okay, and kailangan our data here is either in ratio or interval scale. Dapat real numbers sila, true numbers. Hindi natin pwedeng gamitin si independent and even si paired t-test if our data is either nominal or ordinal. Because like sa nominal, we don't really have a numerical data there. Instead, we have categories. And then for ordinal, they are not really like true or real numbers, but they are just numbers used to like represent verbal interpretations, just like in the case of Likert scale, like sa survey na meron tayong 1 2 3 4 5, and this number represents certain verbal interpretation. Okay, so please have a review. I think I have already uploaded all the recorded videos that we have for t-test, for independent sample t-test, as well as the t-test for correlated groups. So this is where we ended our discussion last meeting. Itong t-test for correlated groups, or this is what we call, this is most commonly called as paired t-test. Okay? So since this is a t-test, we are still comparing two groups, but the two groups are paired, meaning they come from the same subject, participants, or respondents. So we only have one group of participants. It's just that we have two measurements. So most of the time, it's before or after the mga scores for the test, or it's before and after, like pre-test and post-test. Pre-test and post-test, just like what we do in the laboratory. na nagpe-pretest tayo with our like animal subjects before giving the intervention. And then after giving the intervention, we are doing post-test. Okay? So, two groups pa rin. We had our manual computation about this last meeting also. I hope nakuha nyo yun. But if you have questions, you may ask questions now. If you have clarifications, we did this last time, diba? And we are using the same table for the critical values, the same table with that of the independent sample p-test. This is used for manual computation, but if you are using Excel or the JASP software there, you just use the p-value and interpret the number or the value for the p-value. Pero again, if you don't have access to any of that software, then please do the manual computation and have a review on how to identify the t-score, the tabular t here, so that you can compare it with the computed t and you can make a correct decision and conclusion. Okay? So, since tapos na tayo with this one, let's move on. I think hindi ko pa ito na-discuss. The second example. Okay? This is the second example. The officers of the Philippine Pharmacists Association, Davao Chapter, conducted a research training to selected research professors. The objective is to increase competence of the research professor. An adapted questionnaire was used to measure the competence of the research professors before and after training. So if we're going to try to understand the given situation, we have the research professors here as the subject, and then the group, itong PPHA Davao Chapter, conducted a training for the research professors. But before conducting the training, they first measured the competence of the research professor, and then after the training also. So again, we have one set of participants here, but we have two measurements. We have two scores before the training for the level of competence, and then after the training also. Okay, so for research, we have conceptual framework in research wherein we identify the independent and the dependent variables of the study. So for the independent variable here, actually we have here before and after. Before and after, kasi dalawang measurement yan. Ito yung minamanipulate natin in the study. When you say independent variables, these are constructs or variables in the study wherein the researchers manipulate them or control them. So this time, ang kinokontrol kasi yung before and after for the research professor. Pero when you say independent variable, it's the outcome variable. That is what we are measuring. So sa study na ito, what they were measuring was the level of research competence. Again, before and after. So sample statement of the problem or research questions. We have number 1. What is the level of research competence of the research professors before the training? And then we also have the question, what is the level of research competence of the research professors after the training? And then, syempre, since gusto nating malaman before and after, and kung meron bang difference ang before and after, so that we can conclude after if meron ba talagang merong effect yung ginawang training. So, pagtatanong tayo, is there a significant difference in the level of research? This should be level of research competence of the research professors before and after the training. Okay, so again, this is how you do the statement of the problem for your research. You have to ask specific questions Again, specific questions sa statement of the problem that will help you answer the general aim of the study, the general purpose or aim of the study. Diba? This research wanted to know if yung conducted training nila is maka-increase ng level of competence ng research professors. So, ito yung mga questions that will help them answer that general purpose or general aim of the study, or even we call that general objectives of the study. Okay, you don't ask questions in a research in statement of the problem that cannot be answered by your research instruments. When I say research instruments, these are the instruments that you are going to use to gather your data. So in this case, diba, the research instrument is the questionnaire. If hindi yan siya masasagot ng questionnaire nyo, hindi mo siya dapat i-include dyan sa questions for the statement of the problem. So that is also true when you're going to conduct an experimental research. Kung ano lang yung masasagot ng inyong method or yung inyong procedure, yun lang din yung inyong itatanong dyan sa statement of the problem. So that's the common mistakes of the students na magsa-start pa lang gumawa ng research. The first time the students submit a draft of their paper, including the statement of the problem, daghan kay kung i-erase. Kasi most of the time, they include questions that cannot be answered by any of their research instruments. Okay? Like you are doing a quantitative research. When you say quantitative research, you have numerical data, right? Tapos magtatanong ka ng how. May mga questions silang how. Wala man tayo numerical numbers for this, if that's how you ask the question. Pero look at the questions on the screen. Specific sila, diba? And very clear, and then direct to the point kung ano talaga yung hinahanap. Ayun lang yung itatanong. And these three, even tatlo lang ito, this will help the researchers achieve the general objective of the study. Again, that is to ascertain whether the conducted training, wait lang, your internet connection is unstable. Wisig maputol akong ginay. Again, the general objective of the study is to determine whether the conducted training increase the level of competence of the research professors. So let me show you. These are hypothetical results. Syempre, hindi ko ito kinandak. So, hypothetical results. Wait lang. Nag-ano ako. Wait lang. You will be doing an activity after this, ha? Please prepare. If you have questions, you ask questions, ha? Bisig natulog mo dira. I saw some of you sa school, but sorry class, I cannot really identify you with your faces, especially if you are not like opening your camera. I can identify my students. Yung mga students ko lang na nag-open ng cam. Pero pag hindi nag-open ng cam, kasalubong ka sa school, wala dyan ko kaila sa inyo. Pero I memorize ko names niyo. Pag sinabing ganito ang pangalan, alam ko na estudyante ko yan. Yung mga nawaw dyan ko kailan ninyo tabang wala ba dyan mo nag-open og cam sa natulog ng diha. Wait, asa na to ako ang Oo, man sa mugkampa nagsa-uy, para mag-ila-ila sa tapos nagbangga na to sa eskwelahan niya, wala gihapon na nag-ila. Labi akong ginaingnan nga estudyante ko na sa eskwelahan. Estudyante, bi akong height. Dati ito, nagatudlo ko sa Dame. Nagatudlo ko sa Dame dati. I don't know if yung mga taga-Dame dito, nagkita ba tayo sa Dame dati. Nagatudlo po ko pharma sa Dame dati. I stopped teaching sa Notre Dame 2020. During the pandemic. Tapos, nag-concentrate na lang ako sa doctors. Balagot ko pa masulod ko sa Dame, pero hindi na ko iharang sa guard. Ano wala ako nag-uniform sa pag-guard. Ano wala ako nag-uniform. Lagot. Libog ko kung maganahan ba ko or glagot ko nga, hindi ko niya pasudlon. Mistra man ko dito. Yaw. Wala ka move on. Okay. And here's the recorded pa dyan. Sumabot ni sa guard sa Notre Dame. Ayan. Naka-record. Very buta ba ako sa YouTube? My gosh. Okay, so ito yung ating results class. Hypothetical results for the study. So ito yung score. Siyempre, binigyan sila ng questionnaire. Before the training, ito yung set of scores ng 15 research professors lang tayo dito. And then, syempre, nag-conduct ng training. And then, ito yung scores nila after. Diba meron yung mga teachers na ganyan? Like sa start ng class, magbibigay sila ng tinatawag na pre-test. Tapos, at the end of the semester, meron ding ikakandak na post-test. So, most likely, the same set of questions yon. Okay? Just to know whether you learned something from their subject or wala. Okay? So, pag binigyan kayo ng pre-test, okay lang yan. Hindi naman nag-expect ang teacher na at the start of the class, marami kayong alam. Siyempre, kaya nga start, di ba? Pero kung gusto malaman ng teacher, kung gusto niya makakonclude talaga if there is a significant difference between your pre-test and post-test scores, gagamit tayo ng paired t-test. So I hope hindi yan makalimutan kailan gagamitin si independent sample t-test and si paired t-test. Class, this is not included in the board exam. This is not a pharma subject. I mean, not really a professional subject, huh? Pero you can use this for research, your own research, pag mag-third year na kayo. Kasi sabi ko nga dati, or sinabi ko na ba? Yung mga fourth year natin, yung mga graduating students natin, and yung mga ngayon magkakandak ng research, most of them wala silang gastos when it comes to the statistician. Medyo pricey din kasi yung magpa-stat, marag minimum siguro 1.5. Depende na lang kung may mahanap pa kayo na below that. Yan yung alam ko na parang minimum nila na sinisingil. 1.5. Pero pag napag-aralan nyo kasi ito, kamo na mag-compute sa inyong result para makatipid mo. Okay? So, okay. This is how I encode the results. So, respondent number 1 to 15. Kailangan ko talaga siyang numberan 1 to 15 kasi paired t-test yan siya, ha? Paired yan. So, if this is the score of respondent number 1 before the training, dapat ito din yung score niya sa after the training. Meaning partner talaga sila, magkatabi sila. Hindi pwede na ito yung score ni respondent number 1 and then yung score niya after dito mo nilagay sa end. Hindi pwede ganun. Kailangan magkatabi. Paired talaga sila. This is very important for the paired t-test. Okay? Yung sa independent sample t-test, okay lang yun kasi hindi. Magkaiba naman yun na participants. Iba naman yung like yung example natin, iba naman yung lalaki, iba din yung babae. So we don't need to pair them. This time we really need to pair them, ha? Sige. So let's do first the syempre Excel. Nandito na nga tayo sa Excel. So click function, let me just label this. I want to place the p-value here. And then click fx, that's the function. And then click t-test. Ayan. Okay. And then the Excel will give you this one. Array1 is for like the group 1. So you just highlight this one again. That's the group 1 or that's the first group for the paired t-test. Array 2, syempre this is for the after the training. Highlight that again. And for the tails, I forgot to write the hypothesis. Sige nga, kayo nga gumawa ng hypothesis. Part of your participation sa class. Kindly send sa DM na lang. Direct message siya. Huwag niyo ilagay sa everyone can see. You try that to formulate. I just want to have the null hypothesis kasi that is what is used in research. Again, null hypothesis. You try to make a null hypothesis for this problem. I'll wait. Dato na tong uban. Yung naghulat, di ko ba nga tulog nila sila dira. Sige, while waiting. Siyempre, mag-chika ko. Chika. Mag-duty na ba? Mag-duty na mo class no sa summer. Okay, ano lang mag-duty na mo karon summer. You'll get to experience. Make the most out of your community internship. Kasi marami kayong matututunan dyan. Dyan nyo actually may encounter most of the drugs. Para alam nyo yung name nila. Alam nyo yung, most likely, alam nyo yung name nila. The generic name. The generic name is very important. That's the identification of the drug. Okay lang din naman yung brand names, pero we have a lot of brand names kasi. Kasi kung ako ang tatanungin ninyo, pag naimangutana sa kuha, para asa ni na tambal. If you tell me the generic name, I can easily identify para asa na siya natambal. Pero pag ingnon ko ninyo sa brand name, wadyo ko kabalawa kung para asa na siya natambal. Except for those na well-known yung brand name, ha. Ano man good. Siyempre, I only have 3 months. When I passed the board exam, I only had 3 months na experience working as a pharmacist really in the butika. Except for my internships, ha. Yung work na talaga ako, ng RPH na ako. 3 months lang sa butika. But I really find that very boring. Kaya 3 months lang ang aking tinagal. So I'm not really familiar with a lot of brand names. So if you're going to ask me kung para asa nga tambal, tell me the generic name. So when you have your internship sa summer, make the most out of it, that you will really be familiar with the different names of the drugs. Names lang muna, pero may mga times that you can identify kung para saan sila. Okay? Especially if you have like background of the patient, kasi minsan nagka-counseling yan siya sa pharmacy. Pag alam mo yung background ng patient, yung kanyang condition, most likely malalaman mo din kung para saan yan nagamot. Okay? So that is very important. Ayun ninyo siya i-take for granted na just for the sake na mag-duty mo and makomplete ninyo ang 200 hours. Ano dyan siya? Seryoso na duty. Seryoso na duty. Mas Ryan Dre. Pag namgo na siya, pag ako ang teacher, maminaw na siya. Para mag-unstable ang connection. Ngayon kasi dito ka sa dito ka ibutang sa pinaka-busy na butika. Pero may ako na siya ginaingnan. Wala ate-ate dire dito ka sa pinaka-busy na butika ka nang pag-uli mo sa balay kay ka nang maghigda na lang sa kakapoy. Ano ko ginaingnan siya? Actually, kung busy mo ng butika, that's where you learn. Kaya kung dili busy ang butika, sa dito maglingkod. Trapo ka abog. Adlaw sa mong life, magtrapo ka. Magtrapo ka og abog. Mukha na kasi tos palengke. Kanang wala aircon. Kanang wala pa di aircon. Nan. Ang naong pagkahuman. Pero bitaw, you cannot choose kung asa mo na butika. Si Mama Bero yun na yung mag-assign sa inyo. Actually, wala po ko isa. Ako lang na siyang ginabinungangan. Dito kas, butika na very busy. Pero si Mama Bed yun ang mag-assign sa inyo. This pandemic, I think, inassign niya yung mga interns based sa kanilang residence na area. Pinangutan ako ni Isabel tong niagi as ka duty Isabel. Siya apo pong sa daw siya nag-duty daw sa Rojon sa Makar. Anong atbang sa brigada sa may polytechnic kasi taga-apo pong siya. So most likely sa inyong time ug asa mo nagpuyo. Kung asa ang dool nga butika murag didto pud jud mo ibutang di Mamabe. Okay, nagchika na ko. Ilang weeks? Ilang weeks? Actually, I don't know ilang weeks. But, may quota kasi tayo, 200 hours. You have to finish the whole 200 hours na duty. So, kung mag 8 hours kayo, isang araw, syempre, mag-calculate na. Kaya dito ka math. 25 days. Kung 8 hours lang isang araw, 25 days kayo mag-duty. Pero meron kasing mga interns class na usahay si Mamabe ang assign, usahay nagahayo sila kay Mamabe, usahay straight 12 hours sila para at least na mahuman sa kapit na 12 hours. Pag uli sa balay hag sa tugpad dito sa kama kay kapit kayo. 12 bars. Tapos class namin ay scarcity sa bangko sa mga pharmacy. Ambot nga na siya. Dito sa mahilig mo palit og bangko. So pag mag-duty mo straight 12 hours, nagtindog adlaw. Kaya ninyo na. Kasali ang weekends, hindi ko din sure. Depende sa himuon ni Mama Ben na na schedule. Siya nagbuhat schedule actually and you have to really follow that. Karon man gud sa mga 4th year since naghahabol sila kasi 'di ba? Nag-pandemic, merong time na hindi sila naka-duty talaga. So naghahabol sila para matapos nila lahat ng internship before graduation. Doy kayo ni mga 4th year karon man gina binuangan ako sila. Haggard na kay mo. ang ang ilahang schedule karon Monday to Wednesday nagaklase sila with their subjects. Tapos Thursday, I'm not sure ha, pero feeling ko ganun. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and even Sunday. Wala sila pahuway. Oh my gosh, wala na haggard na. Haggard na sila. Mo-graduate na mo? Ayaw mo graduate. Relax sila. Lang, ginawa na lang sila. Okay, let's check. There is a significant, hindi na lagi ko makabackgrade. Sige, magpabi. Good. There is a significant difference between the level of research competence. Type po na, competence of research professors before and after the training. Yeah, that's correct. Level of research content. There is none. Very good. Nasaan? Sige. There is no significant difference. Okay. Ito siyang isa-isa. Basa ninyo. Para nag-yun. Anong naman ay question mark? Pwede sila mag-send og answer when I question mark. There is. I-complete niya siya. Ilagay niya talaga sa hypothesis yung before and after. We have to be specific on what we are comparing. So do not just write there is no significant difference between the set of scores. You really have to identify what are those scores. So that is before and after the training. Okay, I hope that is clear. But nevertheless, nakuha niyo naman, most of you nakuha niyo naman very good. So I hope pag mag-research na ta, murag akong gyapon ni teacher sa research. Kasi ako talaga nag-handle ng research sa pharma. Dili ta maglisod when it comes to the hypothesis. Okay, tama man. Mahapon. Okay. Sige, tama. Tama inyong hypothesis. Meron lang iba na kulang. You just have to complete kung ano talaga ang kino-compare natin when you're going to make your hypothesis. Now, since yung mga hypothesis na binigay niyo sa akin is non-directional, di ba? Non-directional, we don't favor one group or one set of scores over the other. Talagang i-compare lang talaga natin. Walang direction. So, let's go back to our Excel. Kasi lalagyan natin yung tails. So nakalagay dyan, specifies the number of distribution tails to return. I-type down natin 1 if it is a one-tailed distribution and 2 if two-tailed distribution. Siyempre, two-tailed tayo. Kasi again, yung mga binigay niyo sa akin na hypothesis, non-directional yun lahat. Okay? Hindi tayo nagsabi na mas mataas yung scores ng after the training kesa sa before. Walang ganon. It's just that we are comparing the two pantay. Okay? And then, for the type, kasi again, meron tayong types of t-test, right? Meron tayong independent sample t-test, tapos na tayo niyan last meeting. And then meron tayong pair t-test, ito yung ginagawa natin ngayon. And meron din tayong yung non-parametric equivalent, 'di ba? Na-mention ko yan siya last time. If we cannot satisfy the assumptions, hindi normally distributed yung data natin, hindi interval or ratio yung type of data natin, hindi talaga pwede gamitin si t-test. So, meron tayong non-parametric equivalence nun. Identify ko last time, the Mann-Whitney test and the Wilcoxon rank test. So, eto, since most likely Actually, normally distributed yan kahit hindi pa natin siya i-test. Pero later we'll see. Pero kung titingnan natin, these are real numbers kasi. So, since paired t-test yan siya, you just type 1. Kasi sa Excel, 1 if t-test, paired t-test. 2 if this is independent sample t-test. Pag sinabing 2 sample na equal ang variance, this is referring to independent sample t-test. Itong 2 sample unequal variance, ito yung non-parametric equivalent. Okay, so just click 1 and this will be the result of the t-test. Masyadong maliit yung value. Pag ganyan na nakalagay, that is a scientific notation ha. 1.02757 E means times 10. Exponent yan. Times 10 raised to the power of -5. So that is a very small value. And ulit-ulitin natin yung decision rule. Ham to delete na makalimot. Yung decision rule natin dito, if the p-value, this is the p-value here, is less than 0.05. Again, if the p-value is less than 0.05, ano gagawin natin? Reject. Okay, ano i-reject? Okay, very good. Reject the null hypothesis. So if you are going to look at the p-value, sabi na ako kanina, that is a very small value, naka-exponent na nga, exponent niya pa is negative 0.05. So ilang zero yan before the 1. Okay? So meaning, yes, the p-value is really lesser than 0.05. So yung mga sinend nyo sa akin dyan na null hypothesis, we are going to reject that. Okay, let's reject your null hypothesis. What was again your null hypothesis? There is no significant difference between the level of competence of the research professors before and after the training. Okay na kahit iba yung pagka-state as long as the same thought tayo. I-reject natin yan. Meron daw difference. Ni-reject natin yung null, diba? So meaning nun, there is a difference. There is a significant difference sa level of competence ng mga research professors before and after the training. So most likely, yung training na kinandak ng PPHA Davao chapter has really helped the research professors in their level of competence. Okay, let's try the just. Nakasave na ito sa laptop ko. Pero do not forget ha, basig makalimot mo. Kaya syempre, daghanog din na subjects, diba? Kalimot ta. Na ang just can read only files na naka-CSV format. So, na-save ko na yon. CSV format na yon. And then let's open the file. I place that research capability building, and then the name of my file was research competence. So let's import. Ayan, na-import ko na siya. Hindi ito scale, naka-scale ko siya. Ayan, nominal lang ito. Nominal lang siya kasi this is just used to identify the respondent. So parang mahulog siyang category. Like this is for respondent number 1. Ayan, before and after the scores. Pero the rest, tama na itong types of data nila, naka-scale. Chine-check talaga yan ha, kasi kapag iba yung type of data na nakalagay dyan, most likely, hindi yan siya mababasa ng just and hindi ka makaka-perform ng tamang test. Okay? So again, we are doing paired t-test here. So saan nga natin makikita? Here sa taas, t-test. And then click paired samples, t-test. And then, hindi natin kailangan si respondents kasi that is just for identification. What should we transfer? The before na score and the after na score. Okay? Before and after. So kung nakikita nyo, naka-pair talaga. Kaya nga tinatawag na paired t-test. Okay? Compare sila and then it will automatically give you the table. So we have here the T-score. Meron din siyang T-score ha. Itong T-score, makikita natin ito kapag ka nag-manual computation tayo. So para sa magma-manual computation, if you want to like practice the manual computation, you may do it. Recorded naman ito, and see if you will get negative 6.69. Okay, and then the difference is 14. Remember, meron tayong 15 samples. So, since one set of sample lang tayo, DF is equal to n minus 1 lang. Kasi again, the same respondents. Dalawang measurements lang. Pero they are counted as 1. And then look at the p-value. Sa Excel, it will really give you the exact value, but for the just if it is less than 0.001, ito na yung ilalagay niya, less than 0.01. So just by looking at it, ayun na, less than 0.05 yung p-value. So parehas lang yung sagot natin with the Excel. We are rejecting the null hypothesis pa rin. So the same kung gamit tayo ng Excel, manual computation, or mag-JASP tayo, the same yan siya. If you want to see the descriptives, please click the descriptives. When you say descriptives, that's for the mean and the standard deviation. So we have here the mean scores before the test, that's 19.7, and the after 20.79. So there is really an increase. So, di ba, sa p-value, we can say that there is a significant difference between the scores nila sa before and after the training. And we can further conclude na the training really increased the level of competence of the research professors as shown in the mean scores nila. Paano yung nalaman? Siyempre, mas mataas yung after. So, there is really an increase. So, dyan yung malalaman plus ha sa mean kung meron bang increase or wala. Or paano ba sila nag-differ from each other. Nevertheless, okay lang naman ang standard deviation kasi that's a small value, meaning the data are precise. And then if we want to check the normality, just click this one, assumption checks. The p-value is 0.847. Ano nga decision rule natin for the assumption checks? Pag ang p-value is more than 0.05, meaning yan, then the data is normally distributed. So we have satisfied the assumption for the normality. We can really use the paired t-test. Pero just in case, class ha, just in case na hindi siya normally distributed, ano nga yung gagawin? Instead of the student t-test, kasi student is for the paired t-test na parametric, ito yung yung Wilcoxon, ito yung ating non-parametric equivalent ni paired t-test. So sa JASP, automatic yan siya. I-click mo na lang. And then, p-value pa rin ang titingnan, class. And ganun pa rin yung pag-interpret. If the p-value is less than 0.05, you still reject the null hypothesis. Okay, very good. Gamitin ang Wilcoxon. So I hope hindi yan siya makalimutan. Yep, questions. I think that's the end of the slide. Ay, mali. Asa na akong slide? That's the end of the slide. So, ayun. Actually, ito yung result kanina ng ginawa sa JASP. A p-value of less than or equal to 0.05 means that the difference is significant. Kaya nga, ni-reject natin yung null hypothesis. Merong significant difference between the two groups that we are comparing. For the assumption checks, again, the p-value which is higher than 0.05 means that the distribution of the data set is normal. Your internet connection is unstable. Okay. Questions. We are done. We are done with this one. Meron ba kayong gustong itanong?